Who am I? I've recently moved, some people say, to the dark side, right? I'm now a permanent employee. I haven't done that. I've run my own companies. I've been a contractor. I haven't done that whole corporate thing for maybe 15 years or so, and even then, only for a short period. So I'm finding it really interesting being on the inside. And actually, to try and do what I've tried to do for the last 8 or 9 years, I actually think you have to be on the inside, right? So sorry to any consultants out there. I've tried hard to make the change, to deliver these types of projects, to get the actually organizational change. I've done projects where I've been there for 2 years, 18 months, and not the 6-month projects, but to get the change, actually, I think you have to be on the inside. Consultants aren't liked always. It's very difficult to actually get people to adopt software without being on the inside. So I'm bit the bullet, gone on the inside, let's see if I can make this work. I'm now actually an enterprise architect, so I do other stuff. Don't do just SharePoint. I've done development, I was an MVP, I've stopped doing community stuff pretty much, new children, focus in life. I've done dev, done deployments, focus very much on business change. I'm back in sort of the technology side, but as an enterprise architect, I need to do that business, technology, platform, future, roadmap stuff. So I think it really groups into what I've done and where I am. This session was meant to be 20 topics, 2 minutes per topic, learn something. So I'll just give you my view, right? So I've done SharePoint for years and years. 2001 I started doing SharePoint, lots of deployments, lots of big projects, lots of success, lots of failure, like everyone. Lots of things have gone round and round in circles. We're back there again. Yeah, we were doing Office development in the keynote. He was like, hey, look, we can develop these things in Office, right? Where have we seen that before, right? Digital dashboards, right? The add-ins, we're doing the same thing, right? So it's going through, but I think the developer story is better, using the cloud's getting better. So I'll try to give you some of my insight. What I'll also try and do is highlight some sessions that are going on, a little deep dive into that. So it'll be probably a good 30-minute run through, here's some experience, and here's some things you might want to go look at. So pick up some sessions. If you're interested in a topic, there's some examples I've grabbed out of the agenda that you may want to go into. I did put a timer on these, but I'm going to click. But before I do that, I want to take a few minutes. I'm still going to do this bit, because actually SharePoint on this space is all about meeting people. So what I want you to do is we're going to spend 1 minute is just turn around to the person behind you and introduce yourself. Right? It's about community. So just turn, if you're at the back, it gets very difficult, right? But take your time, introduce yourself. Whatever you think, just so you know the person, right? Not that you won't go on a date or anything, but just, you know. So, in the interest of time, I'll bring you back to the front. I'll get them eventually. They'll come back to me eventually, right? Okay, next up. Recommendations. It's great to do this, but recommendations, go to SharePoint tonight. This is where we should have this level of conversational hum. Talk about things, the person you just spoke to, have a drink, talk in more detail, right? But get to know people, find out what they're doing. But this is what these conferences are about. The actual stuff you see on the slides are great, right? But actually it's about meeting people and connecting to people and finding out what other people are doing. So take some of that, talk to people, grab speakers, go and chat. So I'm going to run through this, may drop a slide. I think these are all available, so you can take pictures if you want. I think I'll try and get them out there early, but I have no problem with pictures, I do it myself. Adoption's a big area that I cover at the moment, so that's one of the key challenges, I think. One of the bits I find is people don't know what they're trying to solve, right? With the adoption, what are you trying to do? Right? We're rolling out this SharePoint thing. Right? Why? What's the problem? What are you trying to do? Is it top down? Have you got exec buy-in? Or is this a bottom-up grassroots movement? Understand what you're trying to do with your project. Right? Understand where you're going. Also understand resistance to change. How many people are using SharePoint 2007? Still, some. 2010? 2013? Oh, big number, 2013. Right? And Office 365 exclusively. Right, so it's all moving in that, but there's a lot to change, right? And everyone's been through it, right? Been 2001 to 3 to 7 to 10, then you go in 2013, you've got the cloud. Nobody likes change, really. So understand the resistance to change. I'll go back one, I shouldn't do this, right? Tips of success, make sure you get buy-in at the exec level. Try and get top down. Even if the only thing you do, I use a thing called Capitola pathway, which basically, even if you go why, everything you do, as long as you can align it to the exec's view of the world, somewhere, you can justify it. Right? If it's about connecting people, being number one, whatever it might be, try and align everything you do to the exec level. Build community in your organization. We had great success with them when we did it in Aspire. We had 100 community champions. We run an internal event. Great success there. Understand people in your organizations. People specific. Killer app. What is the one thing you're trying to do? Is it process improvement? Is it about document compliance? What's the one thing you're trying to do that people will hook onto, that you can build a case study, that you can sell, that you can get people going, you know what, actually this does work? Find that one killer app, focus on that, market the hell out of it internally, really sell it, really promote it, and then you'll get buy-in, and then people will start using it. And measure what you do. You'll see here loads of sessions. That means adoption's important, right? For people at this conference, adoption is a big thing. So these slides will be shared. I'll try and get them out, but there's lots of sessions there around adoption. Who does governance? Who knows what it means? Right, to steer, there's lots of sessions on governance. I used to spend whole sessions and 2-day workshops doing governance, right? But the key is understand what it means to you. Right? Is it around compliance? Is it around taking control of our data, right? Type governance. Is it around what people think of the IT governance bit, right? How do we manage our servers and backup and restore and security and everything else? What is it you're trying to do? So lots of sessions here will talk about governance. And Clay will talk about mismatch, the governance manifesto he does there. Brad comes from a very regulated, military government organization, very full-on brutal, but good speaker, but good insight there. One thing I found often is people ignore the existing culture, right? Actually, lots of organizations today have structure. They have governance in place, they have governance committees, they have process. They sort of manage to get where they are. Make sure you fit inside that. Don't try and do something completely different. Make sure you report in. Make sure you actually work within the organization you're in. The bigger the company, the more layers of governance you'll have, the more structure you'll have around that. For project management, might be for your IT deployment, etc. Make sure you fit there. But again, the key is focus on what you're trying to do. What's our goal? Where are we going? How do we get there? Delivery well and expand. What does that mean? I think that was going back to my first point. I wrote these slides and forgot what I said. Right? It's back to that. Pick a topic, measure, and then basically build out from there. Pick one thing and develop. These are random topics, right? So there's no flow or structure. It's random topics I picked up, I think, in the top 20. So how many people here have a search team in your organization that focus on managing and optimizing your search experience? So actual people, their day job is to best bets, not all of their day job, but they actually look at best bets, they look at some of the analytics, they look at what people are searching for, and actually try and promote and encourage search results. Almost, right? My challenge with search is people come along and they go, I want Google. That's the normal one. I want Google, they want Bing, they want Google in the organization. Often they'll buy a Google appliance and it doesn't work, right? Because Google have lots of people employed to make search work. They do a lot of work on Google to make it work, right? They think of it as an IT deployment. Microsoft come out and sell you fast, brilliant. You've got, the federated search results down here, and we can do all the previews, and it's great, and the demo works, is really sexy. But when you get into an organization, actually, it just becomes noise, right? How many people understand how to write a Word document so that you can improve the search relevance of that document? Things like H1 tags and H2 tags are like on a web page. You have your SEO on a web page, and you promote the document to be high in the Google rankings. You can do the same thing with your documents. So depending on how your template's designed, depends on how good your search results might be. There's lots of things you need to do in search, right? To understand the way the technology works is key. Make sure you have people involved, right? This is the big hard sell, right? So if you want search to work in your organization, have people involved in looking at the analytics, promoting search, understand what people are looking for, refine, update, reflect, change. Really important. Measure and adapt is significant. You can see it's important down here. Joel will talk about search strategy. right? It's not, the tech is fine, it's not a tech problem. It's a people problem. It's about putting resource in and making it work. The one I find today, especially with 2013, is actually the content by search web part and the technology is really good, right? Really helps you use search as a sort of a underlying component of what you're doing in your development. Social, this is good, Petra. I've got to move on, which is really good, right? So, and I'll probably run out of time, but social, who here has Yammer? Who has it well integrated? Who's got sort of the SharePoint 2010, 2013 social features and the Yammer features, and it's a bit disjointed? No? Yes? Often people are coming, so Microsoft's strategy is Yammer is basically cloud, right? So they know if you're doing on-premise and you're really, oh no, we can't do cloud, then your social experience is going to sort of die at 2013. It's not going to get any better, right? They push, lead with Yammer, go with Yammer. That's their push. Too many options is the feedback I get when I do this. What another channel, another way of communicating, another feed. I've got, the news feed in SharePoint, I've got email, I've got link, or same time if you're on notes, right? Yammer, what's his social feed, what's it for, etc., etc. So lots of resistance. People don't do social at work. Do you find when you go to work, your technology is old? You're at home, Facebook, Snapchat, WhatsApp, everyone uses it. Facebook, it's great. Integration, I use 5 or 6 different channels. I can communicate all the time. Instagram, I'm quite happy at home. You go to work, people are like, no, I need email. What do I want this other thing? They sort of forget how to do the social bit. So you need to understand why, get exec sponsorship, get some people on board. I push this bit here, this sort of work out loud. It comes from the Yammer, but trying to work out loud. I get lots of resistance. My current manager doesn't get it. Right? He moans, right? So I'll do something on Yammer, I'll post, and he will moan about it actively, right? That I'm just wasting my time. Like, why are you answering that question? What's that got to do with your job? But it's that concept of just working out loud, sharing, posting questions, getting people on board. I call him a red dot. Does anybody understand these red, yellow, and green dots? Does anybody not understand that or heard of it? It's gone. Look up red, yellow, and green dots. Focus on the yellow dots. Ignore the red dots. Green dots are me, right? Anybody here got an intranet? Most people will. And does it look pretty much like it did about 10 years ago? Right? Okay, maybe different. Maybe it's branded slightly different, but I do some news. It's run by marketing. They put some content out there. I've got some policy documents. Actually, it's push. Most intranets today are push, I believe. Right? It's about the push the communication channel out. I actually think the communication's changed. If you look at Delve, the Office graph and Facebook, it's not. It's more consume. I choose what I consume. It's more relevant and context sensitive. Right? I think intranets, as they currently stand, are probably on their last iteration. Right? You'll still get them, still push policy, there'll still be some information they need to share, but actually expecting people to go to the intranet to get my information, I think is probably on the last iteration. There's a few good sessions about why we keep doing it wrong, but that's my gut feel. Right? You might do one more because you want to update the brand, you want to put some social features in there, but on my phone, I have maybe 6 or 7 channels, but I seem to consume them all quite happily. Right? And they'll do notifications, and I'll go into Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, email, and I get them all on my phone, and I consume it, and I'm quite happy. Right? With the intranet, I've tried to build those hubs, and Delve is trying to go in that route, but I think we'll move more towards that graph-based one. I'll get my information about what's going on from my social network, rather than it being this marketing push. And I think comms will move around to pushing news out into those channels. Lots of big companies do it today. On the internet, they do Facebook, they'll do LinkedIn, they'll do Twitter, but they don't do it internally. If you're going to do it, clear purpose on what your goal is. Right? Again, measure is important here, but do the social bit. Right? We've got a 2010 intranet we've just launched. The idea was to get rid of 27 intranets around the world, all based on MOS and MCMS, would you believe? And we've merged them onto one. We've got a basic bit of social. Amar was involved in the design of that. It's still rolling out. Not in the US yet, but still rolling out. Amar, right, let's go in. Another one, information. This, I think, this is where SharePoint's sweet spot will be in the future. If you look at sites, when Jeremy did his demo today, what was the bit you saw for SharePoint, as was? It was just some documents, right? Actually, all of the other stuff, the BI has gone into the BI bit. The social has gone off into Yammer and Delve and Office Graph, right? There's things that are apps that you build on top of the platform, but the core feature function of SharePoint that you'll get really is back to its original roots, which is around documents, version control, Office web apps has even moved out, right? So there's version control, document management, information rights management, etc. And I think if you're in this space, you're trying to do information governance, this is probably where you'll get a lot of traction and it'll continue. So do I want to do compliance? Anybody here done good projects on effectively retention? How long do I keep documents for and how do I get rid of them? Right. How many people use content types and make that work? And it really works. You've very simplified your content types. I struggle with it, right? But there's some sessions on it. Maybe it'll work. I've never got it to work for me on a big scale. Demos work well, small proof concepts work well. You go large, scary. But again, understand what you're trying to do. Information-wise, is it about store and archive? Is it about access control and security? Is it about discoverability? Goes back to the search one. So when you're talking information, understand what you mean about information. Is it just moving people off a file share, right? Is it trying to get documents out of email and get them shared? Better collaboration. Understand what you're trying to do, keep it small, and just focus on delivering some value, measure wins, and then move on from there. If you try and do big bang, people won't like it. Really difficult. Consider OneDrive. Does anybody have success with OneDrive? No? I think it's good technology, has its challenges, right? Anybody here would regard themselves as a BI person? I don't think there is a BI track, is there, on this? There's some good sessions, but there's not a dedicated BI track, right? And it's probably, this goes back to this bit here, I think. Are you being taken seriously? My view is that when you come at it from a SharePoint or an Excel perspective, actually lots of people use it for business intelligence for the masses. But when you go to a company, they don't think it's mature enough, right? They think, no, we need to buy expensive BI tools, Informatica, or you're more even in the SQL space, right? So we're not really taken seriously. You start talking about big data and data lakes, we're definitely not in that space, right? Hadoop and all this technology, and that's where all the money's being spent in organizations to do all this analytics, right? If you're in the SharePoint space, you're not really there. But I think in our Office 365, SharePoint space, actually Power BI, all of those tools, Power Query, etc., I think that's where most users will consume and get access to that data. That's where normal people will run their dashboards, get their analytics. It's good enough. Visual, which is why I say in here, focus on visualization. Look at mobile. Look at self-service. Don't try, if you're in this space, in this technology stack, don't try and be the BI stack for your organization, because I think you'll fail. You'll come across these hardcore mathematicians that sit in the whole data space, analytics and spatial data, and they'll start using terms Hadoop and Pig and all this stuff that really you don't necessarily want to get into. If you do, good career move. Lots of money in that space, right? So if you decide SharePoint's going away, move to BI. Good stack. My key on this one, I think, is Excel. Excel is the only product, I think, that stayed and continued and continued and continued. And with all the add-ins, Power BI, Power Query, etc., it's just getting better and better. And I think with all the stuff they do for mobile now, etc., I think Excel is where you need to live. So adopt it. The people who want to do maths, use it. That's where I'd focus my effort. Understand what you can do in Excel. Don't necessarily worry about the SharePoint bit. It should be relatively easy. How many people still run all on-premise? Premises, I should say. So quite a number. How many people were hoping for SharePoint 2016 to come out relatively soon? And are now really disappointed because it'll be like next year sometime. But how many people have got a view on what actually on-premises will be? You look at the hybrid story today, and we're talking on the slide, it's very limited, right? Search hybrid. I think it'll be back to focusing on that core information bit. It's just my gut feel. I don't know for definite, but they're definitely pushing a lot of the things out to the cloud. Groups, it's cloud-based, right? Yammer is social is all cloud-based. So the on-premise, I think, when you look at the hybrid future, I think if you want to do what we do today, you'll need to consider hybrid. If your organization says it's only on-premise, I think 2013 will be probably the sweet spot from a feature function perspective, and it will get less when you get to 2016. That would be my gut feel. I don't know. I'm not an insider anymore. I don't have a definite on that, but that's my view from the information that's coming out of Microsoft, that actually the on-premise story will be smaller and more defined, more around documents potentially. These are key if you're doing IT project, is script everything. The amount of times I've gone through where we do builds and documents and with pictures of click boxes and bits of text that are written inside a Word document, you copy and paste, script it, automate it. Automate. That's my only recommendation. If you're going to do anything on-premise, learn Python, get in there, start automating stuff. I would push, if you're going to consider hybrid, Also look at the app model, especially when you go to 2013. Understand, there's a couple more slides on that, but understand the change. There's a good slide, a good session, I think, from Visa here about farm deployments and app model deployments. So if you're into dev, understand what it means, start doing your development, considering at some point you're going to go to the cloud, or you're probably going to move to a different technology stack, right? Oh, the app model. Anybody thought I'd plan that? Anybody here writing apps for SharePoint? Mark? Any challenges? Don't. Yeah. Anything you like, roadblocks. All the people I've given up coding, right? I've not downloaded the last 2 versions of Visual Studio, so I'm no longer a developer. But all the people I talk to do this, it's a great idea, but you hit roadblocks, and they're like unpassable roadblocks. They're things that just go, fundamentally, we can't do that anymore, or this needs to run in Azure, or this goes here. So you have to understand where you can break the model, but also learn and get ahead of the curve. So when you develop apps, understand what the limitations are. What am I trying to build? It's not like the old traditional farm solution that you could do anything, right? I can deploy a full trust code and I can do anything I want. When you move to the app model, it doesn't give you that, right? So understand the way you develop, understand the limitations, right? Learn what you can and can't do. Great sessions this week on that. So if you've got devs that need to understand what you can and can't do, work in that space. The key bit I would say here is we're no longer SharePoint developers, right? So in the 2007 and 2010 world, I think you could call people SharePoint developers because actually they lived and breathed SharePoint. Everything was an SP object, SP site, SP web, list objects, event handlers, the Hive, WSP deployment, etc. Actually, I think now, moving forward, 2013 on, is we're not really full-on SharePoint developers. We're developers that understand this SharePoint application. I understand the objects, but actually I'm using REST APIs, I'm using JavaScript more. So actually your developers is probably better because you'll get a refresh dev story, you'll get better developers. Right? They'll be cheaper, probably. That was a big concern, that SharePoint developers are already really expensive and not very good, right? That was a big concern. Some were good, right? Some were good developers, but it was a common complaint, that they weren't very good, it was really difficult. I believe now, with the app model, the way it's changing, we're not SharePoint developers anymore. How many here don't have a roadmap to Office 365? Right. So where does your road go in 2 years' time? 2013, and then you wait till it goes out of support, and then you'll worry about it because you'll have moved on at that point, right? So I think, as I said, my view is it's moving that direction. If you want to get anything, there still will be products that do on-premise, right? There'll still be requirements. But I think if you want to do the stuff that we've talked about in 2010, about social, about connecting people, discoverability, actually all of those features and functions are being developed in the cloud. Not just Microsoft, everyone's doing it in the cloud. Google Docs, you've got Dropbox for Business, they're pushing that. There are lots of challenges, right? About compliance and security and where's my data held and everything else. There's some stuff you'll still have to do on premise. Will it be a SharePoint story anymore? I'm not sure. In the future, if you do your 5-year roadmap, long time in today's world, isn't it, 5 years? But if you're drawing your road out there, if you've not got some cloud or hybrid in there, it will be difficult. Again, I think Jeremy did a good session on this. Again, forget the fact you're a SharePoint developer now, right? You're developing a different paradigm, right? You can understand these objects, but actually you're an Office 365 developer. A lot of your code will be running in, on iPads inside the Office client, right? Your interaction will be different. You won't be writing event handlers and buttons to go on the ribbon inside the site collection and provisioning, which is what we all did, right? A bit of branding, customization here. The actual way you'll put your effort will be about user value, so it will change. And again, unlearn the past. I think you've got to. It's probably better to not have SharePoint developers sometimes to talk about what can we do, what's the new world, or people that are a bit enlightened about how we develop for Office 365. It's definitely a different story. Look, I'm ahead on that one. I'm going to push forward on that one. Azure and other cloud options. There are other ones, Amazon, IBM, blah, lots of people. Big concerns I found with cloud, so in my experience at the moment, has been around security. So either your company is newer, younger startup, and they just embrace it and go, and they're happy with it. If you're a bigger organization with a lot of legacy, your governance, whatever, they're very concerned around, it's in the cloud. If you're an international company, well, can I host it in Dublin? What if it's in the US? What if I got this element? How do I get my data? Where does it live? Where are the encryption keys held? So it becomes really difficult. right? So one of the things I found is if you're not doing production, definitely exploit for all of your development methodologies. The stuff you'll see today, I think, from Neil Hodgkin, some great stuff about auto-building stuff. In Azure, just the ease of provisioning VMs. Right? Whereas you do internal, and you do a private cloud internally, how hard is it to get a virtual machine? Right? To get it and maintain it and upgrade it and patch it and everything else, or even a physical one. How many weeks does it take? Weeks, months in my environment sometimes. So definitely exploit infrastructure as a service from a development, test, proof of concept perspective if you can't go production. Still do automation. That's the whole benefit of the cloud. Spin things up, shut them down, scale in, scale out, etc., etc. So my take is push to use Azure if you can, push to use cloud-based storage. If you're doing Office 365 development, you will be doing some Azure stuff, right? Azure Active Directory for your authentication. All the patterns and practices use that, right? If you've got event handlers you want to do in Office 365, they're remote event handlers. You have to run them in something else that runs alongside your Office 365. That's likely to be Azure. Your story will be easier than if you go and try and provision it in Amazon, for example. So your developers, your IT pro, will need to understand what my story is and how that works. Security will be difficult. Getting approval, putting your data out there, should be possible. Depends on your security people. How many people love JavaScript? Love it, right? Love-hate relationship. It sort of was going to go away. It's been a rubbish developer story, and it still is a rubbish development story, right? The tools aren't any better, right? They're not like doing C# development, right? It was like doing the same thing we were doing 10 years ago, probably, right? But it's here to stay. The only benefit we get today is lots of libraries. Right? Lots of things. jQuery makes our life much easier. Lots of libraries for doing stuff. AngularJS. You'll see lots of great sessions on this. Knockout. All random terms that use JavaScript, but fundamentally it's JavaScript. The challenge I find is getting that whole development lifecycle managed. We do lots today. I try and encourage people not to do farm-based solutions. So we end up with JavaScript-based solutions that live in a document library, and then if you want to upgrade it, how do I change the code? How do I version control it? What if I break something? There's no developer story, so make sure you get that dev story in. You're going to have to learn to love it, right? And this is where you get non-SharePoint developers will be of benefit. People who used to be web developers, that will understand jQuery more. They've come from a web development background. People who do Ruby on Rails, right? That type of development, you'll get more benefit from them probably than your traditional SharePoint developer. So I would definitely, SOAP, REST, all great technology. What I think is, if you're a developer, anybody here actually a developer in the SharePoint space? Because we're on the business track, so I wouldn't expect you to be here. What I do think is we get better developers. Right? They're better, more rounded, they're more open to doing things differently because they've now come out of the SharePoint bubble and they're actually having to do other stuff. Right? And it's more exciting. So it's definitely, learn it. If you're dev, do it, accept it. It's here to stay. To the cloud. This goes back to my previous one, right? I think the Office 365 one is the same thing, right? Use your roadmap to the cloud. Some people know they will never go there, can't. The only thing I would say is the bit we sit in, and my argument I always have is the bit we sit in when we're talking SharePoint and exchanging things, that these are just commodity type things, right? This is not your core differentiator, right? This is not your insurance policy management systems. This is not your construction systems or whatever it might be. This is not your IP. This is not the thing that differentiates you. The fact you can send an email or share a document isn't the bit that's going to make you better than the other company. But if you're still doing a lot of the on-premises, it's harder to work, harder to be connected, you'll only disadvantage yourself. Right? I think there's a view that actually for this commodity-based stuff, the cloud's probably the right way to go. It's not a differentiator, but if you're not there, you'll find it's an inhibitor to agility and getting things right. I found, pilot things, proof of concept is always good. If you do a pilot, it becomes production, right? Always, guaranteed. Now, the benefit of doing a pilot or in a cloud service like Office 365 is it is really production code. So it is, they sell it as production, right? But it's production code. It's not like I'm doing a pilot on some half-baked software that I've written and it sort of works, and then I've got to rewrite it. Oh, well, that worked. Now it's a 6-month project. This is production. So when you run a pilot, the features, functions you get are real, right? And they work, and you can move from pilot really to production really quickly. The one bit I do find with the cloud bit here as well is the whole change story. So if anybody here use Yammer, and they'll notice Yammer changes a lot. Little changes, but it changes a lot. And the other bit that I know is you can't change things if you want to. So the CEO goes, can we remove that all company bit because it's just noise? No. Can't do it, right? So I can't move it. The one that you can do is the avalanche button. Did anybody get stung by the avalanche button? If you're deploying Yammer, watch out for the avalanche button. Pick it up with me afterwards. Hybrid, my take is I was disappointed with the hybrid story in 2013. I was hopeful that 2016 would come along with a much better story, but I'm not so hopeful now. Because I think they want you to do more in the cloud, right? In effect, it's search, right? Unless you do, how many people do line of business, BCS, connectivity and connect, right? So a few people are doing it. But search really is it. If you want to do navigation, you've got to do it yourself. If you want to click on sites, where do I go, here or there? You know, where's my profile live? Out in the cloud, what goes where? Right? So to get a good on-premise, off-premise deployment is quite difficult. It's quite a lot of work for you to do. So I was a bit disappointed with the hybrid story. There's some good sessions on how to get it working, but the actual out-of-the-box, this is a hybrid Office 365 SharePoint on-premise story, isn't that good, I don't think. You have search blocks. You can't merge the search together, right? You get the search from the cloud and the search from here, and they're not integrated, right? So you get a block of this and a block of that. It's just not a brilliant story, I don't think. So when you go hybrid, understand what it means. I actually think my take is you have to have one home, right? So this is the primary place we do stuff. It's either on-premise or it's in the cloud, but actually our primary place for doing stuff is here. Focus your effort on that, and then we have this other bit. And then at some point it'll shift, so the primary place you do stuff is in the cloud, and we have this other bit which has a particular use case. So try and frame it that way, rather than saying we do stuff across both, and the user experience is consistent across everywhere, and I think you'll just find it hard. Again, pilot and prove, get the security right. That's always challenging. People don't necessarily want to use the Azure Active Directory. They've got their own security. They don't want to put all their accounts up in the cloud. Scary. Can't have the encryption keys. No, scary. Right. I actually think security is probably better in Office 365 than most people deploy on their on-premise. We just pretend. But lots of sessions. How many people use Windows mobile phone? It's not a Windows Dig, right? But I used to, I've moved away. But how many people use mobile phones for work? As in outside of email, not just email, right? Because email, everyone does email. You do it on a BlackBerry, right? But anybody use mobile for other things from a work perspective? So either apps developed or Office integration. A few, not many. How many people do it for all the other stuff they do in their life? How many people live on the phone, right? So I think our expectation is actually, and the push should be from us, is we should be, Microsoft is the same, mobile first. Right? We should be looking at all the things we deploy and say, well, actually, most people will want to access it via the phone. Why do I want a desktop computer anymore? Right? New people in the workspace. I want to just be able to do it on the phone. I want to connect, have the communication. Anybody struggle with things when they do the corporate ones and they have, VPN connection to connect in and mobile IM because I've got to be able to lock down that data and, if you want your app, then can you ask Microsoft to give us the Yammer app code so we can wrap it in our own one and put it on? No, it's not going to happen, right? So there's a big story around how we do mobile. But the key take here is I think we should be building a mobile-first story. Right? When you're doing anything, understand a mobile-first view of the world. Do you build apps or do you do HTML websites, responsive design? My feel from Jeremy's session there was they're encouraging people to do web-based solutions. So it runs on the iPad, and it runs on your desktop, and it runs in Outlook because it's HTML. And they all know how to render HTML. So it's no longer a packaged Apple app or an Android app or a Windows Phone app or a phone. I think people are moving more towards that, HTML-based application. Which platforms are you targeting? Who and wow and how? Understand your needs. Specific ones I have that we want. So we've got Yammer and we've had to turn off files as an example, right? But particular use cases, they're security needs to go and audit, and they want to take pictures of things and discuss them. But security have said you can't do files because it goes in the cloud, right? So, but I've got to fight that battle on a case-by-case basis. Demonstrate business value, move on. So think about your mobile story and what it is. Pace of change, the future. How many people think we're going too slow with our technology revolution at the moment? It's too slow. Right? That thing that they showed the video, that's where we should be now. Right? It's too slow. It's too slow. I want to do paper and out there with my 3D glass walls. And it's not far away though, is it? Right? You think of these, what we can do, and I think it's accelerating. So actually, the way we develop apps is going to be difficult. The one I think the pace of change that gets people when you move to cloud is the fact that the product changes without your control. Whereas organizations are still used to, I deploy an update, I go through a test, verification, I do user training, we get a manual written, we go and train people if you do that, and actually show them how it works, and then we deploy the software. And we're still used to that Microsoft 3 years. We may skip one and wait every 7 to do a deployment. When you're in the cloud, YAM Office 365, Salesforce, doesn't matter what you're using, they change it all the time. Like it or not, it changes. And I think we have to get used to that changing from an organization or a work perspective. I actually think people do it at home anyway, natively. New ways to consume information. I think we talked about mobile. I think you've got to pilot stuff. I want to be using the latest version of Office 365 somewhere in my organization. Somewhere in my organization, people are going to be using file shares and Lotus Notes, and they're not going to want to do anything else, and they're using all VB apps, and they don't care. But somewhere in my organization, I want people using all of the new stuff, and there will be a transition. And I think we're in a constant phase of transition. So nobody's all going to be on the same platform ever again, I don't think. I think we're always going to be people leading, they're on the next version, and we're just bringing people along. And that will probably stretch, which will make our experience harder. How do we share information? So. Security. How many people are security experts or as a role? It's a unique thing. We're in a business track, so it's probably a bad question to ask. How many people think they've got security organized in their organization, so they think they're pretty good? And is that from a policy sort of network, the way we lock it down, or is that just the way we authenticate people? Do you think we're in control of stuff, information? Yeah, of course. I think the bit I focus here is we tend to focus on authentication, an authorization bit, right, separate. People are moving towards claims-based authentication, so you'll hear people are talking about, a single sign-on. I actually think single sign-on is probably nearly a reality. Right? It never used to be. It was always difficult, my desktop login and everything else. I think we're getting to the point that I can sign on in one place and authenticate against all my apps. It requires you to go through your estate and have a look at it, but I think we're not far off that. SAML tokens, etc. The other bit we don't do on security is information security. We talked about search earlier. One of the big things we do when we put SharePoint in the first time is we start searching. You do a migration from an old version of SharePoint onto the new version. Data search, you move from file shares onto SharePoint. Go and search for things like highly confidential, redundancy, disciplinary. Right? You'll find stuff because people hid the data before and now it's visible. Right? So you will get stung by internal audits coming and saying, oh, information has been shared and made available to people that shouldn't see it. Right? So understand when you put things in that make it easier to find and discover information, that actually security becomes even more important because you need to make sure people can see the right stuff. When you start working out loud, there's concerns about what should I be working out loud on and who should see it and why, and there's a cultural shift as well. Encryption is good. I think everyone does desktop encryption on their machines, your phones, auto-wipe, etc. But I think that moves out when you start talking about DRM. So if I send an email to my customer, how do I make sure that they can't forward it to somebody else or they can't print it? Sure, they can take a picture of the screen, but there's a lot of how do I control and secure my information. Lots of information in there. It's a good, this 2-minute thing, otherwise I'd just ramble on for hours from now. And we're just over my time, so I apologise. We talked about automation before, so if you want to do automation, right, and you're an IT pro, learn PowerShell. Just adopt it, learn it, use it. There's a guy here called Gary DuPont. Right? If you want to know anything about automation in the SharePoint space, he's your man. Go and find him. Right? Say, I need to talk to you, or get your IT pros to go and talk to him. He will help you out. Right? He's done more probably from an automation perspective than most. So he understands how to do it. He's moved into a wider space. But again, some great session on there. And again, you'll see, Rick is talking about automation. Automation. If your suppliers that do your IT for you require you to write Word documents, push back, right? If your devs are saying it's taking weeks to do a deployment, push back. They should be able to today fire up VMs in hours. You should be able to do deployments in a repeated way in minutes or hours. It shouldn't take weeks to get stuff done. Automation's there, the technology's there. People should be using it. We need to be pushing back on these people that go, no, we can't do that. We need a Word document that you sign and has the steps with pictures in it. And I click. No more of that. How many people had a successful migration from one version to the next? Wow. Is that because you did no development on the previous one and just... It is, so my thing is it's hard, right? Often it's hard because the reason to upgrade is not business driven, it's probably IT driven. You know, we have a dictate at the moment saying we shouldn't be on any less than n-1. Right? Now I like the fact, because we're running 2010, current company today, I like n-1 because I expected any time this year for 2016 to be out, which justifies me going to 2013. Now I'll get pushback because they'll go, you don't need to do that till next year, do you? So from an IT point of view, I've lost that lever. Right? So sometimes you'll have an IT lever to push back, but other times you'll have the business going, I want feature function, feature function. The best success is when it's business driven. Because if it's IT driven, there's no business change, there's no adoption, there's none of the other stuff that goes around getting successful. It's just some technology that gets upgraded. Right? So if it's business driven, you have more opportunity to get it right. Apps is difficult. You develop code, move from Lotus Notes to SharePoint, loads of apps. Move from SharePoint 2010 to 2013, loads of apps, loads of apps. If you've done development and you haven't governed it well, your upgrade story may be difficult. If you're moving from full trust code, that SharePoint way of developing, to the app model, it's difficult. This has got a good session here. There is no migration tool. Right? There's an analysis and you rework it. Right? There is no click a button, it migrates, it makes an app model. So understand if you're moving from SharePoint type stuff to Office 365 app model, there isn't a magic button. Right? And lots of your apps will be rubbish anyway and they'll be get rid of and no one will use them anyway. Right? Same as every upgrade. But be clear on why. Operations, again, lots of settings in here. But again, I think this is all around changing the way we do ops. Right? So people, if you've never heard the word DevOps, just go and read a few articles on DevOps to understand what it is. And what they're trying to do is bring in the concept of the developer mentality into operations. So I can code things. So provision of servers, provision of infrastructure, provision of apps. I can code them and start developing reporting, analytic, measures, alerts, triggers, when there's memory running low. How many people have had from IT come back and say, oh yeah, your SharePoint stopped working because the disk ran out of space? What do you mean the disk ran out of space? Surely in this day and age we have monitoring tools that look at disk usage and report a percentage and do something about it. No. So DevOps should be, again, I monitor, I remove, I increase the disk space dynamically on the fly, done, shouldn't need to worry about it, right? So definitely push back on your providers and say, no, we should be able to do this better. We shouldn't get this, oh, it doesn't work, it's going to take 2 weeks to increase our disk space. Not, it shouldn't be good enough. We should be pushing them in that direction. So challenge yourself, challenge your IT provider. Again, script everything. But again, lots of sessions on this, lots and lots of sessions on, not specifically DevOps, but just on the whole operations and how we do stuff better. And this is the last one, so I admit, last one. So if you want to do anything, probably from our point of view, is do community. Right? Whether it be a conference like this that you come along and you meet the person behind you and have a conversation, but there are lots of sessions, SharePoint user group, SharePoints, go online, Yam Jams, whatever they might be. There's lots of people out there that are sharing stuff that have probably done what you're doing or are in the middle of the pain of doing what you're doing. What I find with companies is they tend to be very insular, especially, I've moved into a big organization. They're very worried about their company internally, right? But they never look out. And actually there's lots of help out there, there's lots of other people doing stuff. Go and attend, put it in your objectives, that you're going to go and attend some of these groups. Make it part of your job to go and be part of the community. That this is how I learn. I go to conferences, I take part in community events because I become a better person, which means I can do stuff better. So definitely, make a case for joining, growing a community at work, joining outside communities, doing speaking, whatever it might be. But if you build that into your, this is my career path, this is what I've got as my objectives, then you encourage you to go and do stuff, right? Write it in explicitly. For example, this session, I did this before I joined the said company. I had to send this through for approval from legal and marketing before I could do this session. I didn't talk about the company in any way, shape or form, but I had to get approval. And often that's a barrier because people go, oh no, I won't do it because I've got to send it off. They didn't, it was very quick. It took 2 hours. They came back, read the slides and went, no, it's fine, not a problem. But people see that as a barrier, even in a big org, for doing community and getting engaged. So definitely recommend you do that. There will be opportunities. SharePoint, the people you met today, meet at SharePoint, have a drink, conversation, conference party, talk about SharePoint till late. But again, grab any speakers, like Steve said. If anyone's got a speaker shirt on or not, doesn't matter, ask them a question, grab them, talk to them. This is my plug now. I am actually scared of heights. I realized I was scared of heights. I stopped in the Luxor in Vegas at the conference. So everybody knows that, it's like a pyramid. And then it's hollow on the inside and the rooms are on the outside. And I think I was on the 18th floor. the lifts go up an angle, and I walked out, and then I looked over, and then basically from that point on I was doing this. Basically I couldn't go next to this. So from that point I'm now scared of heights. I've tried to do like Go 8 where I'm strapped in and going. So I've decided I'm going to do a skydive for charity. Of course, as you would. But every pound I raise, Zurich will give another pound. So, which I think is quite good. So if you want to sponsor, even if it's a pound. And that was it.